Greetings from Woods Chapel United Methodist Church, and thank you for taking the time to listen to this message. We invite you to worship with us. Our Sunday worship times are 8 a.m., 9:05 a.m., 10:10 a.m., and 11:15 a.m. We're located off Highway 291 between Woods Chapel Road and Lakewood Boulevard in Lee Summit, Missouri. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach us at 816-795-8848, extension 321. We hope you find this message meaningful and relevant in your daily life.
I am so happy today. Of all the years I have preached on this day, I am the happiest today. I am so filled with joy to speak to you about generosity. Every year, when I preach a sermon like this in October, I hear from someone, I brought a friend to church, and it turned out to be the one Sunday you talked about giving. Well, if you brought a friend, today's your day. Just pat him on the back and tell him you love him. And I share with you the great story of Dan and Joni Horn, who in 1998 visited our church, the little church, in October, and found their first visit to be Giving Sunday. And they didn't come back. And 3 years later, we were moved out to the new building. And they said, let's try that church again. And they came the third Sunday of October, and it was Giving Sunday. And they said, let's give it 3 weeks and see how it goes. And God bless them, and God bless us. They've been here ever since. Those of you who were here 10 years ago and longer, you remember times when we could not pay the bills. I remember summers when I wondered if our church was going to make it. And I dreamed of working with you to build a church that didn't have to worry financially. I dreamed of building a confidence and a commitment among the people that we wouldn't have to worry about money. I'm not sure exactly how, but you have achieved that goal. Every need we have, and then more, is always met by your generous and gracious goodness. And I am the most fortunate of preachers for that and 100 other reasons. This is awesome. This is awesome. It means that there is no begging. There is no compulsion. There is no wishing or hoping or twisting of arms. We can simply have a nice talk, a casual talk about the joy of generous living as we remind ourselves about this important part of our Christian life. Last week we talked about Paul was writing to the Philippians, and he said, I'm not sure, I don't know if you're going to give a gift or not, and whatever you do, we've learned in all things to be content if we have a lot or if we have little. And we talked last week about contentment. This week, Paul is writing to the Corinthians, and he's saying, hey, I've been out and about, and I've been talking to the Macedonians, and I told them that you'd made this commitment. You'd made an awesome pledge to support the ministry, and I've been telling them about all the great things that we're going to do. So my friends will be coming by, and I hope it all works out. He talks to them about sowing and reaping. I first heard of sowing and reaping when I was a teenager, and my parents would say, you'll reap what you sow, Jeff Brinkman. It was a negative thing. It was like, you go out and make trouble, you're going to find trouble. You go out and be hateful, you're going to get that stuff back. I am so thankful to have survived those days and to stand here with you today and to think about the scriptural concept of sowing and reaping in a positive way. That when we plant good things grow. And when we water the seeds of love in our life, they grow. And when we find those things that bring joy and we cultivate them, joy just comes flooding out of our hearts. This is a gift that you give to me. This is a gift that we give to one another. When I come here on Sunday morning, it doesn't matter what has happened in the last week. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday. When I come here and I see you, I am healed. I am whole because of the wonderful things that you plant in my life and in the lives of one another. If you're a member of this church, you've made a commitment to support the church by your prayers, presence, gifts, and service. I want to take a minute to remind you of 4 principles that I think are important about giving. Number 1, whatever we purpose to give in our heart, we should give first. If we write that check last, it may be superseded by a pizza or a weekend trip that came up suddenly. And then we live the rest of the month with that sense of being incongruent. I didn't do what I wanted to do. And so anytime we purpose in our heart to give, we should give that to God first. And you know what's amazing? I have never starved to death because that first check was unto the Lord. Secondly, we should give regularly. Now, you're not here every week. I noticed that. In fact, I noticed some of you in the grocery store hiding from me. As if I were going to pick on you. You know, there are a lot of wonderful reasons to miss church. I hope you use them as little as possible. Because there is something good and wonderful about us gathering in this place. There is something that heals us. But if you're gone, find a way to give regularly. If you're gone for months in the summer, if you're a snowbird and you're gone all winter, I hope to do that someday. One of the great blessings to our church has been the EFT. Every person that signs up for that reduces the anxiety of the people on our budget team because the giving to the church is regular. And when attendance is down because people are gone or there's some big holiday, your church continues to fulfill its mission for Jesus Christ because of that choice to give regularly. Number 3, give proportionally. As God has blessed you, give back to Him. Methodist pastors are asked to teach tithing, that we give 10% back to God and to the church. And of course, you know this story, but it's the best story I know, so you get to hear it again. 2 men are out at sea and their boat sinks and they're stuck on a deserted island. And one is content and sits against the palm tree and relaxes for a nap. And the second one is beside himself. Oh my goodness, we're sunk. We're out on a deserted island. Wake up. How can you sleep? The man says, I make a lot of money. It's okay. The second one says, no one cares about your money. No one cares. We're out here. Can't you see? No one will find us. The man who's sleeping says, I give 10% to the church. My pastor will find us. The step chart in your bulletin is a real blessing for this. Find where you're at. See if you can move up to the next level. If you give 1% this year, next year give 2%. If you give 3%, next year give 4%. And little by little we move to that place where we feel joyful about our participation in the ministries of Jesus Christ. Number 4, as the scripture said, give cheerfully. And this ought to be easy for us, because I'm just going to tell you, the church doesn't need your money. Now, what do I mean by that? I don't mean that there aren't bills. What I mean is that if the economy totally tanks and our income is 50% next year of what it was this year, we will live on whatever you can give, because I know you're doing everything you can. I know that your heart is in your contributions to the church. We'll figure it out. You should be able to give with a cheerful and joyous heart. There is no reason to feel that there is compulsion or pressure, because whatever it is, we will live within the generous parameters that your gifts give to us. 4 points. Give first, give regularly, give proportionately, give cheerfully. Now I want to talk to you about living a generous life. I wondered how the church would do with bad economic news. And I heard something on the radio a few weeks ago that I thought was kind of humorous. Attendance is down 7 to 9%. Income is down 7 to 9% at area casinos. Not that I want you to lose your job if you work at a casino. But in September, the same month that income and attendance was down there, your attendance here was strong. Your giving here was strong. And I know that you are committed in your life, as I am, to those things that truly make life worth living. Generosity. I built a deck for my sister. I built a deck for my other sister. I put a roof on my sister's garage. When I was in college and I played intramural soccer, I'd never played soccer before. That was a long time ago. Imagine growing up today and never playing soccer. We were playing in an intramural soccer game, and I scored 2 goals. And late in the game, there was a penalty kick, and the captain of our team, Mel Torrey, from Long Island, New York, Jeff, I want you to kick this penalty kick. I said, why? It's your penalty kick. He says, if you make it, it'll be a hat trick. I said, what's that? He said, it'll be a great story. And he let me kick the kick. A generous heart finds ways to give themselves away. Someone gave a gator to your church. Someone gave 5,000 bulbs. And I don't mean one person, I mean a lot of you gave 5,000 bulbs. Trees and tables and chairs and appliances and pews and statues and benches. Someone taught 5th grade for 5 years, and I remember what my son was like in 5th grade, and I think, God still has saints on this earth. A few years ago, you gave $8,000 to the Bishop of Liberia. We established a relationship with New Orleans, with the district and conference people. You gave $5,000 to help with hurricane relief. You purchased a van and a trailer, and we've been sending people down there month after month as needed for 3 years. You built a new parsonage in Mozambique. We showed pictures of it a few weeks ago. And do you remember this capital funds drive that we had that's ending in December that provided the mission and youth building and the roadway in and parking and a new foyer and a coffee bar and a lecture hall and those classrooms upstairs? Something that you might have forgotten, 5% of what you gave went to help other churches in our state. And I wish I had the list in front of me today. And I wish I had the time to tell you of place after place, United Methodist Church, one after the next around this state, that you have helped and blessed because of your generosity. We got wonderful things for ourselves, and you blessed so many other people in so many other places. You have been generous with human capital. You have invested yourselves in each other's lives. You have received and welcomed people that were different than you, people that were broken and hurting. I have watched you forgive one another. I have watched you learn to overcome difficulties that have taken place. I have watched you love someone who needed a friend. Last week I visited with a young woman who told me the story of spending a number of years in the church and wondering if it meant anything and not really wanting to come here. And then one day something turned in her heart. In a moment, God spoke to her heart and pulled away the veil. And she saw how much her parents loved her and what a blessing of life that she had been given, and how much she appreciated all of a sudden all of the things that you have done. And I want to say, don't be weary in well-doing. If you are teaching in the children's department, you are planting seeds that cannot be priced. And we don't always see the results, and they become teenagers, and we think, oh my goodness. But praise God, on the other side of those years, springing from a firm foundation, are decisions that lead our young people to a life full of joy. A few weeks ago, a group fed the staff lunch. I mention that because maybe there's another group that would like to come up and feed the staff lunch. We have sanctuary angels, people that just come through here and clean during the week. You don't know their names. They don't have shirts with identifying them. There are people that fold clothes every week and put away the food and the things that you give so that it can be given to people in need. And there are two ladies, aren't there? Two ladies that trim these shrubs out here. Have you ever asked yourself why those shrubs look so nice? You haven't. You just drive in and you think, gosh, that looks nice. Because two ladies, it's their thing. It's their gift. And every now and then I see them up there, up here. And I roll down my window and I say, thank you for your gift to the church. A little bit of time, a little bit of heart, a little bit of generosity makes all the difference in the world. All the difference in who we are. At my funeral, my children will stand up and say the value of my life. And I am praying to Jesus really hard that there's more and more good every day and less bad. More to celebrate and less to forgive. But I'm thinking, what if with the rest of my life, this is a long sermon, isn't it? I can spend my time giving myself away so that at my funeral, 100 people would want to stand up. You know, sometimes at a funeral, the preacher says, anybody else have anything to say? What if one after the next, at your funeral and mine, people stood up to say, he helped change the brakes in my car. He helped to paint my house. She gave me a frequent flyer airline ticket. She listened to me when I cried. He took me out to lunch when I was broken. They attended my father's funeral. He calls on me just to check and see that I am okay. Friends, the celebration of a life well lived is based on a life well lived. And a testimony of generous living is based on choices that we make to give generously. And today we have that chance. And as Chris comes to the piano, I want to give you a few moments to prayerfully consider filling out a commitment card. This is an opportunity to give joyfully in the coming years to the ministry of the Woods Chapel Church. If If you don't have one, there are some in the pews, some in the bulletin. We'll just spend a few moments in prayer, and when you're ready, just come and bring your card to the basket, and then we'll be dismissed to go in peace. Thank you, and God bless you.